Yep. You too. Somebody just went outside. Oh, yeah. Now you ready? Well, why don't we get the meeting started? If everybody's ready, we'll drive to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started, there's copies of the agenda and the treasurer's report and all that stuff on the back table there. There's also some announcements that might be of interest. One on the pickup of yard waste. They're back there. Okay. Roll call of board members, please.
Timmerman?
Yes.
Bridges?
Yes.
Carey? Yes. Tobin?
Yes.
And Justin here.
And clerk's report, we have one set of meetings, for one set of minutes from last month. Did anybody have any questions, corrections, concerns? Okay, hearing none, the minutes stand approved as presented. Maybe everybody with none, the treasurer's report will be accepted as presented. We had an opportunity to look at the monthly bills. Make a motion to pay the monthly bills. Support. Have a motion from Mike and a second from Jerry to pay the monthly bills. Have a roll call vote.
Majeski, yes. Timmerman?
Yes. Okay, I have one additional piece of correspondence besides what's on the list, so I'll start with that. Got a letter from Travelers Insurance Company, that's our insurance company. One of the light poles that got backed over here, what's it been, a month and a half ago? Yeah. They are trying to subrogate against the people who backed over it. So far, they aren't having any luck collecting. So this isn't anything we need to do or act on.
It says,
It's just a letter.
as we are aware, they're managing subrogation,
As we are
and
aware,
so far they've
they're
been
managing
unsuccessful
subrogation,
in recovering their
and
money.
so far they've been unsuccessful. in
Okay,
recovery.
I have 3 notes from the DEQ.
Okay, I
First
have
2
three
are public notices.
Notes from DEQ. The first 2 are public notices of intent to do projects. One is a seawall, I see the riprap, buried on Parsons. The second one is
That's 100 feet of seawall
of
with
seawall,
4-foot walkway.
4-foot walkway.
Then I have 1 permit that was
Then I have
issued
one
from
permit that
James
was
Howe,
issued to
and
James
that
Howe.
is to replace an
And that
existing
is to
seawall,
replace an existing
40
seawall.
linear feet of seawall,
40 linear feet of
some
seawall.
riprap, toadstone they also call
Some
it.
riprap.
And apparently he's putting a rate on the old seawall.
And apparently he's putting
40 feet
rate
is what
on
he
the
has to
seawall.
for 1 yard.
And 40 feet, he's only asking for 1 yard.
And then my final piece of
And
correspondence,
final
it's
piece
short, so I'll
of
just read it. It's from the Clark County Road
correspondence,
Commission.
it's short,
It's
so I'll
titled
just read
Request
it.
for Public
It's from
Comment
Clark County
on
Road
Transportation Improvement
It's
Plan
titled
for
Request
Federal
for for
state
public
funded
comment
projects,
on
Clark County
transportation
Transit Corporation, and
improvement
Clark County
plan
Road
for federal
Commission.
and state funded
Public
projects.
meeting will be held
Clark
on
County
October the 23rd at 9 a.m. local time at the Clark County
Public comment for the expenditure of federal and state funds on Clark County roads and facilities.
I'm sorry, for the years of
I'm sorry, for the years 2015 through 2000.
And if you can't make the meeting,
Can't make the meeting, but there are address, fax number, and that brings us to our guests. First, we'll have our reports from our county commissioners. Dale, Lynn, which of you would like to go first?
Good evening, everyone. I wondered if you had a new board member back here behind you. I had 6-member boards doing hocus pocus. Julie Lightfoot and Michelle Ambrositis were 2 people that were appointed to the Clark County Parks and Rec Board. Julie Lightfoot was and they are still in need of 2 more Parks and Rec. If anyone is interested and would like to sit on the board, you can contact the county administrator office for an application. They are all down in Orlando at the courthouse, and they are looking for people who are interested in sitting on the Parks and Rec. So, we approved the request for prosecuting attorney to fill and hire Matt assistant prosecutor, assistant prosecutor in Gladwin County. So he comes and he's familiar with the process. So I'm sure we will be introduced to him again possibly at our next meeting. We okayed the 20-year lease between the Harrison Community Schools and Clark County for the new Veterans Green Park, and we are going to the trees that we're taking down in the property to be done, and some of the property that's been excavated, and they are picking up on the veterans. So that's something from some of the board members on upkeep once the funds to be able to maintain it, and there will still be fund running funds, different things that have always been happening every year. They're going to continue to do that, so that's how it will be funded in the future. And it's going to be a wonderful addition to Clark County, it really is. Our veterans director, Renee Haley, has done a wonderful job, and she has such a heart for it. So, as long as she's on board, I don't have any problem, and I'm sure that if she ever leaves, that we will make sure that it is will continue. We also had Dr. Graham, the Central Michigan District Health Doctor, inform us that because of so many different experiences that are happening throughout the county, he's really encouraging anyone that's over 2 months of age, or if we have had the moving house shot in the past, that we get or 6 months of age and older, to please get the flu shot. That he's got an encouragement. And there's so many things going on now with all the people and all the things that things that we can get vaccinated for, and if it doesn't go against your beliefs, that we would highly encourage it, and health department would be glad to help you. That's all I have. Any questions? Yeah.
Dale, go ahead.
September 17th, board minutes are back on the deck page. Public hearing was held on September 17th. That's for the senior services equipment grant for $30,000. There really were no comments, or nobody there to really make any comments, but the hearing is open to be closed for that. We did plan for that program. Instead, we're going to take some time to review and analyze the county's needs. It was just really too complex of a program to get into with a lot of capital outlay at the time. So we're going to look at the needs and analyze what has to be done and prioritize it at the county and take care of the issues as we go. The new senior center in Harrison is open. The new location is 212 Broad Street. It's the old Knights of Columbus building. I guess they started serving meals Monday? Friday, last Friday. So it is open for service. I think they had 30-some people the first meeting.
31.
So 31. So that's great. So that location is open. Our treasurer, Jenny, half of the properties that were in foreclosures, the other half moved to the October 9th auction. I haven't heard yet how much was
The no
sold.
bid,
Yeah,
that's the scary part.
so I haven't heard anything on that yet. I guess Wednesday's board meeting, we'll find out from Jenny exactly how many sold at that October 9th.
You want to say a few words?
I am running for county commission. I also have competition, and I have been a commissioner for a long time. So sometimes people don't like that, sometimes they do. I have always tried to work what's best for Clare County. I have tried to keep the thoughts and wishes of the people that I represent in mind when I make my decisions, and I would love to have
Any questions for Lynn? Dale?
Buzzing through this just too quick. 33 years ago, I made a decision to work for the public as a firefighter. And I've dedicated my services to the people in Lincoln Township as well as Freeman Township as far as a firefighter. I don't plan on changing that anytime soon. The reason why I ran for county commissioner 2 years ago is I felt that the residents in District 1, which is Lincoln, Freeman, Reading, Garfield, deserve the voice of the county. And they do have that right now with me as a commissioner for our District 1. Some of the accomplishments I've done since I've been a commissioner, the Trans-Canada Tower project. Everyone knows that I've talked to Claire city 911, emergency services, the transit, Clareham radio operators. With the move from South Tower at McNeely's to Trans-Canada's tower out here, annually, they will be saving about $8,000 between those groups, and that is annually. And that is gonna be a savings that those groups are gonna see far after I am gone, whether board or off this earth. I've worked with Senator Bohr on the Brownfield Research Development Bill. It's Senate Bill 719. I have also secured the funding for the upgrade and the repairs for the Reading Township emergency siren. I thought that was critical that that siren get put back into place. Reading Township just did not have the funds, and I thought that was a priority of mine to see if I could not raise the funds to get that upgraded and get it back in service. I mean, other than the residents of Reading Township, there are hundreds of canoers on the Muskegon River every summer. And they need to know whether there's bad weather coming or not. And that siren was the main thing that let them know on the river that, that some severe weather was coming. I also assisted Garfield Township in the scrap tire program. What I did was I looked through, found a grant for them. They received a grant for $6,500. And it was 2 trailer fulls. I'm thinking it was about 4,000 tires, they said. So I was really proud of that they got that. It was in the tune of about 6,500. That's just some of the things that I've been able to do. I've done some stuff with senior services and some other areas in that. But I'm really looking forward to hopefully serving you as your county commissioner again. I enjoyed it immensely. I love helping people, and I hope for your vote this November. Thanks.
Thanks, Dale. Any questions for Dale? Okay, are there any other candidates that I'm not aware of? Julie's not a candidate, she already has a job. Okay, I'd like to introduce Julie Lightfoot. She's our newest Clare County Road Commissioner. She came in a little late, probably because of bad roads.
Maybe that needs to be updated, but they did change it. Okay, so phew, that wasn't totally my fault. Like you said, I'm the new road commissioner for the area. To give you a little bit of my background, I spent almost 23 years at the Saginaw County Road Commission. I was the finance director there, so I'm very familiar with how road commissions work and how their finances work. And I was also the board secretary for 18 years, so I'm also very familiar with how board meetings are conducted. We have a new manager. His name is Deepak Gupta. I worked with him actually at Saginaw for a few years when we both started out. Then he went to Midland. I can't remember how many years he's been at Midland, but quite a long time. And now engineer, comes with a lot of experience and a lot of know-how. He's got a lot of progressive ideas, so he really wants to move Clare County Road Commission forward positively. And he wants to meet with each one of the townships, whether it's just the township supervisor or the township board as a whole, and kind of talk about your individual township and things you'd like to see or improve or whatever. So he's new too, because he just started in August, so I'm sure as time goes on, he'll contact you, set up a meeting. Couple things about the New Year budget. They've put more money in for mowing and for brush hogging. I think we all kind of realize that the weeds have taken over. It's our local roads. That's one thing that the road agencies have caught quite a bit. DPEG has chosen to put a little more money in for mowing and brush hogging. In fact, just I think this past week they hired 3 temps, and they are going to help with the brush hogging. So if you guys as a board know of any specific roads that you would like to have brush hogged that you know are really bad, if you could maybe make a list, you could either contact me and I'll give them to Deepak, or you can even contact Deepak himself. I just think if you guys put the list together, it would help versus the guys going, driving down every road. Probably know your township better than anybody, so if you get some more, that would really help. Besides brush hogging and mowing, we're also gonna start concentrating on better signing and clear vision. There's some areas where you come like four-way stop and maybe you're coming up to it and because of the brush, you can't see the stop sign, or you can't see to go around a corner because of brush. They're gonna start working on that. Again, if you know any trouble areas, it would help if you let us know about that. That's something that's gonna be ongoing and continuous. The signing, I know I saw one going to the road commission. Is it Finley Lake and Finley Lake and Cedar, and that says you can't see it anymore. So that one I already called in. But if you see any signs that are really faded and really need to be improved, that again has been something that's kind of been left by the wayside, and he wants to work on being caught up. As a township, you guys usually decide which roads you guys want to do for a year. Deepak also would like for you to get those in a little sooner. Doesn't mean you're tied to them, doesn't mean, you know, you can't, when you do get your budget finished, say, you know what, we don't have enough money to do that. But what he wants is kind of your wish list of items you think you might do, get them in early, then he can go out and with his staff the overlays.
Not even a year ago, they weren't participating in local roads at all. They wouldn't even.
Because their share,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a combination. Sometimes the townships don't have it and the road commission does, vice versa, or both of you don't have it.
No, we've got,
Okay, so I would definitely put some roads together, and that's something that I would approach Deepak about and see if, you know, because he is looking to squeeze the budget. I mean, they don't want to be sitting on almost broke, but he wants to squeeze as much out of it as he possibly can. So if these guys have the money, definitely talk to him about that.
for local roads, we probably probably have more money than you do.
Very possible.
But see, the deal was, we promised our people when we initiated that special millage.
Blade. Sometimes that does happen, but one other thing is, when you're out driving, don't crowd the plows. These guys can't see a lot, of course, behind them. Try not to pass them. And the other thing is, most of the time that snow is coming up on their window. Seeing one of the guys told me a lot of times he just drives. Just make sure you give them plenty of room and don't try to crowd them. Speaking of plowing, make sure to, if you're at your driveway, on the left side of your driveway, to help you plow some of that. Because everyone complains when you just do your driveway and the road commission comes by and they put that snow right back in your driveway. So one of the hints we have is the left side of your driveway, go and clear some of that out, plow it out. That way by the time that blade comes by to your driveway, most of the snow is gone. You're still probably gonna get a little, but it does help immensely. The salt prices for last year were between $50 and $52. I think due to supply and demand, they are $80 a ton this year. It's a huge increase, and it's gonna really, cut into the budget. Up here, they do mix it with the sand to try to make it go a little farther. And they may have to do that quite a bit at $80 a ton. Then just one other reminder, when you guys are plowing, I just wanted you to know that it is illegal to plow snow across the road or to plow snow into your road. It creates very unsafe conditions, and it's not allowed according to Michigan Vehicle Code to do that. So even though maybe a neighbor across the street allows you to push your snow from your driveway, it's still illegal to plow it all the way across. Does anyone have any questions?
Children playing signs or slow children playing signs, things like that. The reason I ask is we've got a couple houses in our subdivision that have special needs kids. I mean, they're out on bikes and things. And we were talking about it at our association meeting this summer, if we could possibly get one of those signs at each entrance to our subdivision.
I can take down your information and ask that to DPAC. However, I do know from previous road commissions that when they've put those type of signs up, they've actually had more problems. Because what people, the parents and the people in the community feel extra safe. Oh, well, we've got a sign up there, so people are gonna slow down or whatever. They don't. And so the neighborhood gets extra relaxed, and they end up with more problems. You can catch me afterwards, and I'll write down your information.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Did you want my phone number?
Yes.
734, area code 730-6222. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It's a weird area code because it has to do with my work.
Pre-staying around or for the meeting today?
Yes.
Okay, there's an agenda and announcements on the back table there in time, you have time to look at it.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, I think I do have one more.
Yes.
The chicken seal decision, I understand that, and it kind of elongates the ones that are going to be out and hope that they're going to be relaxed.
seal can, depending on the roads and the bed, it can last 5 to 10 years, depending on its use. Whereas overlay is quite a bit more. The dire need right now is to save the road, because if we don't save the road, we're gonna lose the road, and then it's really, really
And chip
expensive.
and seal is what you see when you see the cracks going by.
Chip and seal is basically, they put down, like a oil-based slurry kind of mix, and then they put the stones on top of them. And so the stones come into asphalt-looking material, and then, they come by like a day. That's basically what chip and seal is. Spoken from a finance person, not an engineer.
Treasurer, by the way.
So,
We're connected.
Any other questions for Julie? Yes.
Just a comment on it, the chip and seal is what puts stone chips in your car.
In your windshield.
yes, and if they're like what Saginaw was, when they do chip and seal, they put signs up and tell you to go 25 miles an hour till they get a chance for it to settle and get the sweeping up, because you're right, we used to get lots of complaints. But I think that was before they signed it, and once they signed it, it said 25 miles an hour. If you're going 55, then I guess it's your own fault.
No, it's the car in front of you.
MDOT did M45 out west of Grand Rapids, and they bought over 150 windshields
I believe it.
because of it,
Mhm.
and then they turned around and blacktopped it right after that.
And sometimes it depends on the stone. I remember when I was at Saginaw, we had one time where we had huge stones. We got a bad shipment of stone, and they were putting huge holes in people's windshields. So, yeah, that part's not fun.
Any other questions for Julie? All righty,
Thank you.
thanks. That brings us to our first public comment period. Is there anybody has anything that they want to comment about, ask about? Jerry?
Yes, I'd like to support Lynn on shortly after Labor Day, and it really put me down. Anybody from, as Lynn says, the young kids to, if you've been taking flu shots like I have all my life, always October 1st, that's when I get my flu shot. Well, this one came a month early, and believe me, get your flu shots. I want to support Lynn on that. Get your flu shot. The new flu is devastating.
Thank you. Tom, your first meeting back in a while.
Well, I have one, but I can wait till the end if you want to keep addressing.
Oh, it's a question or a comment?
Not a quick one. Well,
Oh, okay.
Part, I'll wait.
Is there anybody else that, we have a second public comment period, so is there anybody else?
Is this like a gen,
Question?
I have one. Anyway. Alright, there's a few people at White Birch and other surrounding neighborhoods, and they're not here, but some people are leaving, so that they requested that we bring this to your attention before they leave for the winter. It seems that due to confusion and us knowing the rules when we moved here, your ordinance 25 that got removed, now it's removed, now everybody's just having fun.
Is that the one with the travel trailers?
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't have to have septics. They have like 29 days and then 90 days a year. And we feel that the health and welfare of the community is being put at risk, especially when you have 3 or 4 trailers. 90 days isn't much, but how much people matter does a person make in 90 days? And then there's 2 or 3 people in each trailer. Now they can have 2 trailers, 3 trailers, 4 trailers, because there's no rules. And, I mean, we're not that bad, but that's the problem with Ebola over in Africa. They can't control it because there's no sanitation. And from a leak in my septic tank, if I just have a little leak, I can make somebody a mile away sick. So if we're just dumping it on the ground, we watch, there's no roof, then we take it. Does the township have a public dump?
The township does not own a dump.
All right, there's nowhere for them to take it. They bury it, they
Are you talking about septic waste?
septic waste and
The clear water treatment?
they just took the things back in the woods and 2 seconds later they're back. So they can't be burying it, they're just dumping them. And there's trailers by the lakes. I mean, sooner or later we're gonna run into a problem. It's like there's a couple incidences, the CDC said, they found 47 people all of a sudden got hepatitis. They traced it back to a septic tank. They had a leak. And there's like 167,000 instances of disease that's from contaminated water, from people's septics or whatever. It's usually fecal matter. And like hepatitis, and there's a list of them that you could get from having dirty water.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like sooner or later, it's gonna get carried around, the birds eat it, and then come and poop it on your vegetables. There needs to be some kind of control in residential areas so that we don't get sick, because if our water gets bad, we're all done.
Yeah.
You can't live without water, economically, we're done.
Is there particular control or limitation that you have in mind or that you'd like to see?
Well, I liked the one you had, because it was one trailer, 15 days, or septic, which, no, the 15 days wasn't, really pushed, but it was at least one trailer. Now it's, no limit, you can stay there all year, do whatever they want. And the other townships around here have ordinances for the health and welfare of the community on camping. I'll give these to you, because they'll probably be coming in. They'll probably be coming in. That's mine. Give it to me, it's off, because it signed it. No one was aware that you removed it. And, we can't all afford to drink the baby of all the water. There's a couple that Franklin Township, and I know before. You would I looked on. It's, I mean, even with septic, you look at it. Can you imagine? I know last time I saw it, 2 years ago, there were 171 trailers, lots, got removed. And now, like, there's 2 trailers, and
Well, I certainly think this is something that merits a lot more discussion. I didn't realize that the health department was not being involved in this.
well, the health department, when the rain came, they told us the health department says they are not allowed to use the campground.
Oh, okay.
Period. None of them. But they aren't going to enforce it.
Okay.
Too many board members have personal, benefit by using it. So,
Well, let's
nobody's
make
going
this,
to do anything.
now most of your people that stay in travel trailers and that sort of thing, they pretty much go away for the winter. And then you don't see them again until spring.
Still don't be coming to camp.
But it's just, maybe we could come to some sort of a resolution on this, Dick, or, get something in place. You live out there. Yeah.
I know the problem.
Okay.
And it's been discussed a lot of times. As a matter of fact, that home at the bottom means it's been to me a while back. And what can you do? But my opinion, like I said, for the health and welfare and economic stability of the neighborhood.
Oh, I
There has
agree.
to be something. I mean, you can't just keep dumping it on the ground.
Okay.
The tile's pretty good.
Carol, would you make copies of all that and then give me back a copy?
Yes.
That'll be entered in the minutes. Yeah, that's something that we need to look at.
It just so happens we're working on our,
Yes.
rotating our schedule.
Okay.
Can't we, put this issue be included on our
Yeah.
update, right?
We are looking at some updates in our zoning and we can include this. Yes, go ahead.
One of the people he came to discuss this when he said they had spoken to you about the ordinance and you were kind of confused. It was December 2011. Somebody said your ordinance was in conflict. Your zoning person.
There was a conflict on a certain portion of the ordinance, and also in that time, you guys were in a court case involving your covenants and restrictions out there.
Right, and our covenants and restrictions didn't have what you were counting on your ordinances to, and it worked. All you had to do is show somebody your ordinance, one trailer, you switched it, and that was the end of the conversation. But now it's just a mess.
Well, this is something that we're gonna get on. I mean, Jerry's aware of it, Mike is aware of it, Mike's on, liaison to the planning commission. Roger can't stand polluted water, and neither can I. We're both tree huggers, so we're definitely gonna get on it.
Well, they've gotten really lazy. They're dumping it in the middle of the woods.
Okay, see, that we didn't know about.
And that's getting to be a big problem.
Yeah.
And some of them are like right on the water. It's like if our lakes get done, we're done.
Okay. Any other public comment at this time? Okay, let's get into committee reports.
Yeah, I just have an announcement. We're having an open house the night of Halloween. Actually, the trunk or treat, it's the same night that we're having the trunk or treat out here. Jerry, it escapes me in times. We were gonna actually go.
5:30.
Were we gonna go an hour later than the trunk or treat?
Well, originally we were talking about doing the same as the trunk or treat, but depends on the crowd. Crowd keeps coming, we'll probably stay there until we're no more.
We'll have cider and donuts, definitely. You can look at all the trucks and look at the equipment we have over there and that. Come on in, we may even have a bowl of candy to hand out.
On the back table, there's a bunch of announcements. They're two-sided. All the board members have one in their little packet for tonight.
Okay.
Okay, super.
I'm sorry, your fireman's uniform does not constitute a Halloween costume. It's just
I
on the fly.
never tell what I'm going to be for an hour.
I'm just saying, it better not be the fire.
It's not that.
It's not gonna work.
Mary, Carol has a question.
On the red ink one, I can't read the signature.
Yeah, really.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this you?
I got the Carol got the realms.
Oh, okay.
Alright. But I wanted to make sure this was you.
Yes.
Okay, because, I wanted to, no. It's just that, right. And that's you and Marvin right there. Okay. It's okay.
Okay, go ahead, Jill.
More of those out there.
Okay, that's okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanted, we had 26 rescue for the month, 1 fire, 4 power lines, year-to-date 325. I was just wondering, I was gonna ask Maggie, have we seen anything on the consumer's checks yet?
A dime.
Okay.
So when do we start charging interest, Meg?
For that, but yeah.
Oh, soon. Okay.
Just to give everyone a little background real quick on what I meant by that is we have an ordinance 33 in place to where we, the fire department, can charge back to utilities if we're out on power lines that are down or something like that. When we first initiated this back in '07 maybe, or something like that, other than recouping some of our costs for the fire scene and our personnel that are on, it was also kind of a tool to get consumers out here quicker and it's really, I say, it's actually worked up until about the last 2 power line we've had down. We stayed 6 hours on the line and a couple hours on the
Okay, Ralph, you said that you had something to say about Shingle Lake Park tonight.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's me.
Sorry, Ralph.
I ain't as bad as my wife. We're getting there all the time. No. As you know, the Lake Shores Property Owners Association just got done conducting a raffle. And the intent of that raffle was to add to our community development funds, which we had earmarked for working at Shingle Lake Park. We netted about $4,000, along with what we already had in that fund. And we just kind of, I just get the feeling of the board perhaps, and perhaps get the board thinking about, what, you might like to see done with that money at Shingle Lake Park. We talked about pavilion at one time, and restrooms and all that stuff. And the other side of the question we have for you too is the township interested or willing to do matching funds with us on it or anything like that to help the project along?
We would be interested, but we take the parks in a certain order, and who's next? Bertha Lake is next. So we're looking at maybe another year. It depends on how much matching funds we need.
Are you still looking at the idea of pavilion, or is there other?
Than a bathroom, which is so much money that we'll be selling a lot of raffle tickets. But a pavilion is, I think,
I would like to see another
biggest on
pavilion.
the wish list.
Our intent is to continue with fundraising projects for this. This kind of gives us where we're at, but it would help us to know what you guys want to do at some point in time. It sounds like the pavilion is what you're looking at. And, if at some point, if we're a year away from looking at doing it, that's fine, and we'll continue to raise money.
We've got Bertha and Silver, so there are, it's at least 2 years out that we have halted all expenditures that are not health and safety and a $14 million loss of taxable value this year.
And we aren't putting anything in the Hamlin Field.
Yeah, money is going to be very tight for a couple of years, and then those parks are coming in. So whether we're able to do matching funds or not, I don't know. It depends on how quickly we can recoup from this taxable value loss.
Yeah, there's grants available,
Yeah,
but I
There
can't
may be
even,
something
I
that
can't
we can
even
do
the
that
matching
way. We
funds
might be able to go
on
for
the
a grant.
Or we might be able to use their money for matching funds.
Yeah, but their money's for Shingle Lake Park, and the next grant has to be for Bertha,
Yeah.
because they're next in line in the rec pool.
Yeah. However, if the time came where we could indeed do something and do a cement block changing room with nothing, no facilities or anything in it, but I've seen people changing in their cars and it ain't pretty. It's just rough for them, so.
Well, I guess it's gonna take further discussion, but, if the board, has any thoughts further on it and stuff, and if there is any information on grants available, we'd appreciate getting that information.
Claire Parks and Rec might give a couple thousand. Friends of the Park. Friends of the Park.
Friends of the Park.
They're separate from Clare County Parks and Rec, Friends of the Park, and they have some money. I would call them, call in there and see if there is anything available.
Cemeteries, Mike.
The only thing I got on cemeteries is we updated the website, so anybody that has been put in there lately should be on the new one.
And Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, next meeting is November 11th. We didn't have one in, we had 2 of them in October. And, we do have some items on there that we're working on. The next step in the process is to get them to the lawyer and go from there.
Okay. Brings me to the sheriff's report. Had 306 incidents in the month of December. I'll go down through them real quick. Had 4 accidents with fire, 10 ambulance and rescue, 8 animal control complaints, 2 beyond complaints, 2 conservation complaints, 1 damage to property, 3 false alarm activation, 1 fraud or false pretense, 55 general patrol, 8 general assistance, 5 intimidation or stalking, 2 power lines down, 2 larceny, 1 theft from a building, 2 lost and found, 3 marine complaints, 5 non-aggravated assault, 9 obstructing justice, 1 ORV complaint, 2 operating under the influence, 90 property checks, 1 violation of the public peace. My pages are stuck. There we go. 1 sex offense, 1 suicide, 4 suspicious persons, 44 traffic patrol, 1 traffic accident, 23 traffic stops, 1 traffic violation, and 2 weapons offenses. And did you have anything you'd like to add?
Oh, absolutely. I've been just waiting. I'll try not to take up too much time. Play on the shake your mailbox, very good idea. If the plow truck does go by, your mailbox goes down, there's no reason to call 911. It's not a crime that we can take because the snow, every time we get a deep snow, we get 30 calls that my mailbox fell over and I want them arrested. They damaged my property. I can't say I've gone to one yet where the blade actually impacted the box. Snow, of all that had to shovel the wet, heavy snow, well, it'll take about 100 snow shovels full, and that's what's impacting the mailbox. And if it's weak at all, it's gonna fall over. So first, check it. She's right. And there's nothing. I can't charge them with a crime. I don't come out and put up your mailbox. So it's just one of those hazards of having the mailboxes out by the road that we kind of have to deal with. With that said, it's getting cold. Has anybody else noticed? I have noticed. We're starting to dip down and the temperature's low enough at night that we're going to start seeing ice on the roadways. We're getting into the mid-30s, low 30 range here in the next couple weeks, which means when we all get up bright and early, like I do at 6 a.m., no way. But when you start getting up earlier and getting out on the roads and running errands, we're going to have ice on the roadway. It's going to start to play into our driving. Remember, it seems like everybody every year has to go out and relearn how to see ice and how to drive and get used to your snow tires again, and watch out for ice. We generally see ice probably 2 or 3 times in the early hours, well before we see any sort of snow activity. So remember, if it's like right now it's damp out, if the temperature drops, we're going to have black ice everywhere. So remember that when you're getting up and running your errands early. I'm really sad to report on another scam going around. It's actually one that's come up again, the lottery. Has anybody won the lottery lately? $50, $100, $200,000? Well, if you do, let me know. I'll come over. But we had a nice young lady in the township that was contacted by a gentleman from the White House, lottery, and she was all excited that she won the lottery, and she started sending them money for, well, we got this fee to process it, and we got this fee for taxes, and we have this fee to have it notarized, and as of right now, she is out over $5,000. This isn't $100 or $75 deal, she's out over $5,000. Generally, from my dealings, FBI stuff won't touch it until it's $50,000 plus. Last I checked with the sheriff, he doesn't let me go to Africa on a wild goose chase to try to find out who these people are. Most of these scams, again, are perpetuated and continued by people well outside of the United States. So please don't send people money that you don't know. IRS, again, that scam's still going around, isn't going to contact you. Chances are you didn't win the lottery. If you can't take the ticket in with you to collect, they aren't going to call you. Just tell them, go ahead and take it out of my $1 million. Just send me a check. Because they're not going to ask for money if you win the lottery. It's become quite the issue. While I was typing that report, I got a phone call at the office. And there's a guy that bought boat. It was a boat from Utah on Craigslist. and he got a really good deal on that boat. It was just awesome, and they were gonna ship it to him, so he sent him money. And guess what? It's not gonna happen, he's never gonna see a boat. He realized it and called. If you're buying a $4,000 boat for $2,000, and then he's offering to ship it to you for free, which is probably $1,500, it's not real. If you shop online, people don't, they're not really shipping it to you, it's a scam. And we've had people repeatedly taken for money with that. Go ahead, Deb.
There was a article, thing on TV today about fake checks coming from Craigslist. Have we had any in this area?
I have not heard of any in this area. That goes back, and that scam went around along with the lottery here about 6-7 years ago. They'd send you a check, please cash this, you can keep $200 and just send money back.
They bought from you on Craigslist and gave you a check that was bogus.
Okay, nope, we haven't had those. I know in past in the surrounding areas, some people have shown up and either written no account checks to people. They just bring a checkbook and they hand them a bad check knowingly and take off, but none of the scam type things, just normal, person-to-person type transactions. So
If anybody else has gotten, but I have. Phone calls telling me that they're getting my, mistake responses from Hewlett Packard on my computer,
yes,
which you can say, send your
yep,
report this.
yep, that one went around.
If you just download this program, it'll fix it.
And it's spyware, and that program
They
allows
wanna
them
get
to
your
go
bank
in.
account. They can get
Yeah.
anything on your computer.
They can go in.
They're trying to tell you that you're responding from Hewlett Packard or wherever.
Are you in contact with the neighborhood watch at all?
No.
Okay. If you want to get with me after the meeting, that's one of the messages that went out and we circulated around the community.
Yeah.
They'll call and they're from HP, they'll call and they're from Windows.
Right.
They'll say, hey, we sensed a defect in your computer, we need computers searching your files for your bank account records and stuff.
Right.
Then if they can't find enough to drain your bank account, they'll keep calling you and requesting money for fixing your computer, which was never actually broken. We've had that happen several times in the township here. So here's what I tell people: don't buy anything online that you know is not going to be shippable. Cars, dirt bikes, trucks, boats, large items. Chances are, if you're not willing to ship it to somebody else, they're not probably going to ship it to you. If you're asked to send money via MoneyGram, PayPal, Google Wallet, Green Dot card, know the person you're sending the money to. If it's not your son needs money for rent, or your best friend needed some money, or you owed somebody some money, if you don't send it, because chances are somebody's trying to scam you out of money. It's getting that time of year again. Population's coming down in the township. I see a lot less four-wheelers on my road. No more dirt bikes, no more four-wheelers, the golf carts are staying inside. Which again, I have no problem with them out as long as they're operating correctly. I like to stop and talk to them. Most of them are very, very friendly folks, but that brings me to watch your neighbors' houses. Most criminals aren't completely stupid. They know this time of year, the snowbirds are all flying south, it's getting cold, there's gonna be vacant houses. They know that people that come up from downstate that have cabins, it's after all the holidays, it's getting cold, start seeing property crimes. And the way to help prevent that is watch your neighbors' houses, watch your friends' houses, and check on them. Because it's getting that time of year where people know everybody's leaving and they can start watching houses, and they know if somebody hasn't been there in 2 days, chances are on a Wednesday night, they're not gonna be out. So they're well aware. And then, again, when snow comes, they can tell. It's obvious that nobody in 2 weeks has touched that driveway. So just watch your friends' houses, watch your neighbors' houses, try to get contact information, phone numbers and names, just in case something's amiss or a tree falls on it or there is some sort of property missing, that you can give them a call and say, hey, this is what's going on. And obviously, if it's a B&E or something's missing, call. There was a B&E over on Lake Drive. It's looking like that one's probably going to be a family member. Last time I checked, suspects didn't come back and fix the door.
Big drive on
Nope, Lake Drive, off of, Bungle here,
Okay.
Bungle Forest. Whoever did it went ahead, fixed the door, put some screws in it, relocked the door, deadbolted it, and left, and didn't take anything. Talked to him, apparently, he has brothers and family that uses the house without permission on the lake, and chances are it was one of his brothers. White Birch, we had 2 kayaks, a lawnmower, propane tanks, and a whole bunch of other stuff stolen. Gentleman had bought a vacant lot, came up, brought a whole bunch of stuff, there's no building, and when he came back, apparently somebody had come across it and taken a majority of the property. So if you happen to see a couple kayaks or a black lawnmower, or a couple large propane tanks where they shouldn't be, I know sometimes people will take it and put it somewhere else to wait to take it again. If you happen to see anything or seen anything suspicious, let us know. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet. We got a couple neighbor disputes that have been ongoing since last year that are heading to court here, I believe, next week. That ought to be rather interesting for the court to try to deal with, but I'm glad they have to, and I don't at the time being. And then there's been an ongoing civil issue as well over in Jackson that I've been dealing with repeatedly, almost every day for the last 2 months in court, not for me. It's a couple breaking up and they're trying to separate all their property from the last however many years, and I'm not gonna separate whose dresser this is and whose couch this is, and, well, I bought the toaster. It's a court issue if you have anything the judge has to decide it, so. Otherwise, is there any questions or anything? Been getting over on Shingle Lake, there's an issue, but otherwise it's been, for the most part, pretty quiet. Pretty quiet for the most part. All right, I'll sit down.
Thank you. Okay, building, looks like this was one of your busiest months, Warner. You had Dan Oliver on Mockingbird and the pole barn, Kim Hamilton replacing some windows on Arbor, Chet Howell, a new office building, Raymond Tice Trail, Jean Petrie, roofing on Fairview, Kevin Hammond, prefab shed on Oak Run, Sally Moffett, new roof. Those were permits that have been pulled. Now, inspections, you had Victor Esparza, an addition. He did the foundation inspection and the rough inspection. Gary St. Dennis, pole barn that he's building on Oak Run, were the foundation and the rough inspection. Gerald Targos, I can never pronounce that name. I never know how to say that. Targos on Forest, a window replacement, and that was final. Tim Kaiser, sunroom on Lakewood Drive, foundation inspection and rough inspection. Dan Oliver on Mockingbird, new pole barn, just foundation inspection. On the zoning administrator's report for September, had applications for 2 garages, 3 decks, 1 fence, and 1 structural alteration. Approved were 1 of the garages, 2 of the decks, and 1 structural alteration. Not yet approved, 1 deck was deemed to be too close to the lake, 1 fence, 6 foot in the front yard, and 1 garage, 6 foot setback, right, instead of a 10 foot setback in the front yard, and 1 garage in the front yard. Ordinance complaints, 1 accessory building in a front yard, 1 blight cited by the sheriff, 1 blight and odor complaint, 1 blight complaint after an investigation found the property belonged to the Clare County Treasurer and was up for auction. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No,
Okay. Lakes Commission report.
I've got nothing, Dennis.
Okay, the only thing I have, I put my name on there. We have re-signed the contracts for Bertha, Shingle, and Lake George for next year, lake management and weed control by professional lake management. And those went in last Friday, and there are your copies. Running out of paper, must be going well.
I'm not.
Okay, I have no old business. I have only 3 pieces of new business, and nobody's told me otherwise. There's more. So, I'll try and explain and walk these through quickly. The first one has to do with consumers' energy. And what that is that they were gonna do a streetlight survey for about 2.5 years now. And they finally got it done. And they probably wish they'd done it sooner, because it turned out they've been charging us for more streetlights than we have, and they owe us $7,000. So that's a good thing. Now, we'll get that in form of credit. But in the meantime, periodically, we have to renew a contract with them so that they will maintain these streetlights and give us a price on them. I can't remember how many there are, and I just looked at the report. I think we have 80 or something like that in the township.
Wow.
But anyway, so here's the resolution to renew the contract. And then I have one comment after that. Whereas the Township of Lincoln has for many years contracted with Consumers Energy Company providing lighting services, primarily streetlights, and therefore resolved, Lincoln Township Board of Trustees hereby agrees to renew the contract with Consumers Energy Company of Jackson, Michigan for furnishing lighting service within the Township of Lincoln, Clare County. We have to do that now because there's 7 other Lincoln Townships for a period of 1 year and therefore from year to year, in accordance with the terms of the contract heretofore submitted to and considered by this Board of Trustees, and the Lincoln Township Supervisor and the Lincoln Township Clerk be and are authorized to direct and execute such contract on behalf of the township. That is my motion.
I second it.
I have a motion by me and a second by Tobin. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Carrie? Yes. Bridges?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Majeski, yes.
Now, one other thing, we got a letter in the mail just for this, and so I called the girl that's in charge of this stuff, very nice lady, by the way, and she said that it was no problem, and to do it on October 13th. And I said, okay, we'll get the stuff in the mail to you the next day. And then I called her today again, and I says, now, do you want us to date this stuff the 13th, or do you want us to date it the 1st? And she said, I don't care. And I goes, good. I have another question for you. For about a year, we've been talking to them. The state and the feds are putting a lot of heat on consumers in their streetlights to jump from the mercury vapor to the sodium vapor. And they actually sent us a note to that effect about a year ago. And so I was talking to her today, and I goes, you know, that's just plain stupid. Because 2 years from now, they're going to want to go to LEDs. Why don't we make the jump from mercury vapor to $10 refund? Right now, the retrofit and the new appliance costs about $900 per, all right? She told me today that they are negotiating with the company to get that down, hopefully get it down around $500 or $600 per, and they're expected to hear back any day, so I'm now on her email short list. And if something pops, we might be able to be some of the first to start getting LED streetlights. So we'll see. Okay, the next item is, Carol handed me this big fat envelope back in the end of June, and what it has to do with, and we do have a couple of townships in one city within the county already participating. This is a program whereby a property has a fire or explosion, is either real slow or they don't have provisions in that insurance coverage to do cleanup, and the people are maybe killed or can't be caught or whatever. Anyway, so there's been a series of laws passed in 1980 and 2 in 1998 to allow for insurance payouts to be put into escrow if you're assigned to this program. Now, I talked to a friend that is a legislative aide and it's right up on this stuff, and he told me, hold off on that because there's some stuff coming down the pipe. And I goes, all right, so what's coming down the pike is this. Probably nobody in this room, but some of you in the past have gotten tickets for serious offenses like drunk driving, and then you pay that Michigan bad driver fee or whatever they call it for 2 years afterwards. That are happening to that. One is that they're going to eliminate the fee. And another thing is that instead of paying this big, huge fine, a portion of it could be traded for 10 hours of community service. But the portion that they're going to keep is gonna go into this instead of libraries that nobody knows is there. Okay, so he called me back and he said, this is the time to get into that. Now, I'm only gonna, this is a 2-page long resolution that's required by the company. And so all I'm gonna do is just read you, the part that has an immediate impact. Be it therefore resolved that the Township of Lincoln does hereby become a participating municipality in the program providing for escrow fire insurance as established under all these different acts. And 2, that Township 45, which is rural towns in of less than 50,000 and a county of less than 450,000. And any acts promulgated by the Commissioner of Finance Insurance Services is hereby designated as follows. The primary is the Lincoln Township Clerk, the secondary is the Lincoln Township Treasurer. And that the Township of Lincoln Treasurer shall establish an escrow account with the Chemical Bank, Michigan, for the purpose of receiving and holding deposits of money received from insurers pursuant to Section 2845 of said acts, and which account shall be maintained separately from all other accounts and may be an interest-bearing account. So once we go through with this, and I've filled out all the other paperwork for Carol to send tomorrow, we should start having that, and that's what it's for. So that's my motion. That's resolution number 101314-B.
I'll support that.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable. I mean, I didn't know this was on the agenda. I remember talking about it a couple of months ago and coming up with a couple of thoughts that were maybe, that was awfully involved.
But there's not a whole lot of involvement on our part. What happens is they have a formula based on population.
Who are they?
The, what's that company? Department of,
Insurance and finance.
yeah, Department of Insurance and Finance of the state of Michigan.
Who puts money in the escrow account?
They send it to you and you put it in the escrow account.
What initiates that?
Money that they receive from insurance claims. Our township, and then there's a formula that based partly on the population of the township. And let's say that you have, the trailer up in off of First Street there, was probably worth maybe $5,000. All right, when it went up, the guy died, the trailer. A portion of that, probably somewhere in the area of 15 to 18%, would be taken from the insurance company by the estate or by the state before it could be given to the family. And we would hold it in escrow and we would make interest on it until that family cleaned that property up. And if they don't clean it up, then we can use the money for that cleanup.
This has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Where I came from, we all fire departments had that. All the municipalities would collect that money. In the bag.
Garfield, Claire, and Harrison are all in it. And
So a fire happens, we do nothing, they just send me money and I put it into an escrow account?
based on if the house is insured and that when the insurance company goes to make a payout and we're part of this program, part of that money comes to us from the state. Yep.
And what it does, Maggie, is it basically, it gives a little bit of security to the municipality.
Yeah, I
which is the
understand the
township.
intent of it,
So
it's the administration of it that concerns me a bit.
Right, what we would do,
It sounds like one of those scams, I'm gonna sit here and money's gonna come in the mail, I mean. And he just said, don't believe free money.
there's over 130 municipalities in the state of Michigan that are currently members of that program.
How you get the money?
Yeah.
Garfield, Claire, and Harrison are all in it now. They have been.
Yeah.
They made some bonehead decisions in the past.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
What we have to do is.
So they have a certain amount of time in which to clean up the mess. If it does not, the money is forfeit to us and we use that.
Right.
What we do is if we have a structure fire, we would notify you if you belong to that program, we would submit a form.
We being who?
The
As the
township
fire
board.
department?
Either the fire department or the township board can submit the form to that, agency.
Okay,
And
so.
what they would do is they would, from what I understood, they would take up to $8,300 and put it in escrow for that incident.
Right.
And
Change
if
percent of whatever their insurance amount was.
It's a really good program. It really protects us from having a house burn, the people take all the insurance money and split town,
I
and leave the
understand the
township
intent
with
of
the,
it. Like I
with
said,
the
it's the administration of it, but I don't have passion.
Julie has a comment back there. Now, before she speaks, her husband just retired as a full-time firefighter in Saginaw. Go ahead.
I just have a question, since you were in contact with that department, what happens if the people don't have insurance?
Well,
Is there anything to do about that? Because there's one in
yeah.
Freeman Township, and they can't seem to figure out whether these people have insurance or not.
Well, let's say if you had a house that exploded or burned up or something, and you received, all right, and you were able to clean it up for 6. The rest is yours to keep in that escrow account and draw interest on. And so hopefully, there would be a little money there. And plus these fines and stuff, this new fine process with the Michigan bad drivers, hopefully you would gain a little money into that.
Well, if you don't mind, I know I'm not from this township, but if I could have their phone number or contact information, because I'd like to know, we had one explode, it's not too far from where I live, and I think it was like a crime for it exploding. But the people took off and.
Pat has all that information I gave for that whole program and everything. They were supposed to be moving forward with that.
Even though they don't have insurance?
Yep.
So I guess back to my owner has insurance and submit a claim.
No.
That's all being done by the
Well,
insurance
we
gods.
would submit a report, which is in essence a claim,
A report of what?
that there was an explosion or fire.
Of the, so for every time we have a fire loss, we submit a report to
This
program.
agency,
To that
department.
Department of State.
Yeah.
And then what's the amount of time we have to clean up before we start? I mean, I'm assuming that that's all
Well,
clear
the
cut.
building code has, if it's not being investigated as an arson, it's something like 6 months. And if it's being investigated as an arson, it's as long as it sits there until the arson is over, and then it's 6 months.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
So the next 6 months.
Just gives you a slush fund to prevent problems with blight
Well, I
occurring
understand, like I
someplace.
said, I understand the intent of it. What I'm thinking is how much work's gonna fall on my shoulders as a result of
No,
this.
all you have to do is put the money in the bank and
Write the check when it's cleaned up.
municipality. And the answer is the responsibility is on the insurance company to notify you.
Okay,
However, if you wish to be proactive, you may contact the insurance company if known to remind them the loss has occurred in a participating municipality and you are interested in having, it's because I know the fire chief fairly well. I would just have him make a copy of the fire report, which is not unusual happening in around my office anyway, to send.
but again,
With
I
the
don't know
form
who
letter.
carries my personal fire insurance, much less who carries yours. That's not township information. We don't have those.
Yeah, I'm
It's
just
the fire
reporting the
chief's-
loss to
That
the,
goes on my report.
We collect
Yeah.
that information.
Yeah,
at
cool.
fires.
Yeah.
That
And,
answers that question.
and talking with the state fire marshal, office, they recommend that we take the step to the insurance company, don't wait for the insurance
Well, that's
company to
kinda what I'm
contact you.
yeah.
You
And you
kind
should
of-
just use a form letter that says, hello, see attached.
he would send me
What? And they'll pay off in 30 days. And now, if you haven't made the attempt to collect your part of it, it's gone, it's done. Then the person walks away. So,
Okay, I can live with it.
Okay, so let me see, we had, I made the motion and Jerry seconded it. And a roll call vote, please.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Bridges?
yes,
Carey? Tobin?
Yes.
And Jessica, yes.
Yeah, one more item, Apex Software. Our assessors need to upgrade one of our computers, and they're gonna take care of this for us. In order to draw sketches of properties, of buildings, of structures on the properties and whatnot. Apparently, anyway, the software is $595, and then it is maintained and renewed each year, or upgraded each year at a cost of $235, and they will do all the work on that. So that's my motion, is $595 to buy the software and $235 per year for the license.
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Reverend, do you want this or?
I've got a copy and I will call Vicki tomorrow and tell her that this was approved so they can initiate it.
Okay, I have no other new business. Okay, Tom, last public comment.
Unless somebody else raised their hands up. Hey, two topics. I'd like to request the board if there can be an alternative to the ZBA.
Alternate?
Alden, yeah. Second topic, it's been a concern of mine, and if certain things happen, I could see where the township or the business section at least could have more traffic. And that is the Lake George Park corner. And first of all, this is no reflection on the Swiss End, period. But right there at Lake George and Park, when you're coming from the post office, all size vehicles park there. And you have got to get out in the middle of the road to see south, north traffic. Someday, there's gonna be an accident. When we redid the local business curbing and all the beautification, job well done. Was it indicated then, no parking off of corners? That's just a question. Or would you point me in the direction and I'll spend whatever time to get the answer to my question?
Well, okay, first, on the ZBA thing, yes, we can appoint an alternate. It's an alternate for you because you might travel during the winter.
No, I'm here during the winter.
Okay.
But it would be an alternate for the 3 regular members.
Okay,
Because you already have an alternate.
5.
Well,
Yeah.
no, if I'm not here,
Mhm.
the alternate from the planning commission can.
Okay, if you have somebody in mind, shoot them to me.
Okay.
And also, on that same vein, this is the year, the even-numbered year, when board of review people get appointed for 2 years. And that appointment has to be January, or has to be in place by the January 1. So we'd have to do it during the December meeting, and I'm looking for an alternate there too. Okay, now, on to your question of the street corner. Yeah, that's been an annoyance of mine too. I just try to get along with it. If you look on the map, you'll see where the parking is drawn to stop, approaching that corner. You're talking about from this way, all right? And I'm sure that there probably is some code or zoning, or maybe it's even supposed to be, and people don't abide by that. And I've thought several times that maybe we ought to have somebody from the road commission come over and do a measurement and draw a line, and say, this is it, you can't park closer to the stop sign than this line. So it is something that I've thought about, and thought about a lot of times, seeing the problems there. I didn't think it bothered anybody else. You're the first person I've heard mention it, so I just kept my mouth shut.
Perhaps we could look at either the road commission or the township getting a no parking from here to curb sign, because a drawing on the ground isn't going to reach a lot of people. No, see that moving.
Especially if it's in front of the bar.
No, not in front of the bar, on the side.
Oh.
Wasn't there discussion long ago with the beautification about needing to, the delivery trucks needed to use that as a loading zone, couldn't it be marked as loading zone only, no parking?
But they're not loading all that often, so.
Wednesday's
it
usually
could be
the day.
Parked in otherwise, maybe, other than between here and the curb.
And with trucks, with some of the bigger semis like the Gordons and whatnot, they have to stay a little ways from the building because the roof overhang is lower than the truck.
I just remember that from
Yeah.
the discussions with the beautification stuff.
It could have been worse. In the original plans, they wanted sidewalks on both sides. So that would have eliminated all parking on the east side.
Want that, like, somebody come to you about that?
From the
I mean,
road
I could
commission,
ask the road commission if that's their area
yeah.
that they're supposed to take care of.
You know, and
I'm
seeing
not
as how we got a
positive
new
on
team
that.
down there, I have another beef too. This intersection right down here.
Oh, the stop sign.
Oh, I know. I agree with that one.
This has been, and I'll tell you what, Rick Miller, who resigned as undersheriff, but he was a sergeant or something at the time, Steve Shockey, the old road commission manager, myself, 2 people from the state police, and 1 guy from MDOT. 6 of us sat in a car down there for 3 hours watching traffic. And I had told them before we went, this is what I want. People coming, going south on Lake George Avenue have the right of way to turn in all directions. Everybody else has to stop. And they all agree to the effect, no, we're not gonna put a stop sign on Windover Road because we don't wanna slow people down. I'm going, well,
How long ago-
you're gonna
how
wind
long
up
ago was
burying
that?
them. Huh?
How long ago was that?
Oh, it's been 10 years.
Okay, maybe that's possibly something that could be looked into, because I know in order for a stop sign to be put up, there has to be a traffic control order made, which means there has to be a traffic study done by the state police.
Now, the problem is, they won't do a traffic study in the middle of the winter when the snow's banked up and you can't see around the corner. They'll only do a traffic study, and they'll do one during a busy week, like August or something like that, and they'll do one during a slow week, like around the 1st of May. They won't come out in the middle of the winter and see snow stacked this high that you can't see.
Get with me after an hour.
Okay. Any other public comment? Go
I
ahead.
know we talked about it before the meeting, the Wi-Fi thing, so we have an answer for everybody watching.
Okay, what we have is we have groups of kids. First off, a lot of times in violation of curfew, they can't even be out.
Right.
But they're hanging around the hall so that they can use the Wi-Fi to do whatever they do online and whatnot. I actually don't have a problem with that. They aren't my kids, not my curfew problems. I would think parents would be a little bit more concerned, but maybe they aren't. But we have groups of kids, and there's 1 or 2 amongst that group that want to impress the rest of the people in the group. We had paint caked off the wall. We have a flower out there that's been almost totally destroyed, and it keeps trying to come back, but of course now it's not got much view here. We've had 2 screens kicked out on the lower level, and the latest one was electrical conduit was yanked right off the wall. All right? Now, all these other kids know who those 1 or 2 bad ones are, but they won't say. And
Right.
yeah, I don't like the idea of penalizing everybody. We have talked about actually shutting the Wi-Fi off at a certain time of night. The problem is that there are a lot of adults, particularly adults that do work for the oil support companies or for the oil companies, that get their assignments in the middle of the night. They'll pull into the parking lot and sit here and see what they're supposed to do the next day. We don't want to penalize those people. So we're not going to shut it off at night. It's kind of a temporary thing. We're leaving it kind of up to Carol to decide when it goes on and when it comes off. But the big thing is they got to stop this vandalism. They're also, and that's something that adults do too, but they're leaving McDonald's sacks and pop bottles and pop
Right.
cans and everything else.
And I understand.
And it's just, you see a bunch of kids there, you know that 2 hours later, that it's gonna be a mess.
Right.
And it's usually 1 or 2.
I had a couple parents mention that if they could pick a certain time of the day where there's a parent up here or somebody supervising the kids, you know, if they could use the township hall. I told them that's something they have to discuss with you guys. And That way kids can get online, do their homework, stuff like that. But they would have a parent here.
Used ball field went down because the very few parents that were willing to go out there and help kids participate in sports and stuff got dumped on by the other parents who thought that those parents were their babysitters
Right.
for free. And I'm afraid that we might be walking into the same trap.
It's a good point.
I do want to say that the kids that I talk to when I leave that are out there, or were out there, they're playing games and stuff, but they were good kids. A lot of them
Right.
I talked to, very respectful. In fact, I gave them some tips on a couple of games once, because I'm, you know.
You always have that one
they're
bad
good
apple.
kids. The majority of them are, but the one or two have been destructive, and I feel really bad that it's hurting all of them.
Corner showed up one night, and I was about 2 minutes behind him. We were coming to a meeting of some sort here. And he shows up, parks out on the street, gets ramming into the flower pot with his bicycle. I show up, and he was still doing it. And Warner's trying to stop him, you know, not touching him. He's hollering at him from 50 feet away. And so when we got all done and figured out, Warner says, "You got to talk to this kid." I'm going, what do I know about being a parent, you know? And so the kid takes off and left 2 girls and, was it 3 girls? 3 little girls behind him. And I goes, "Okay, what's going on?" And I don't know. And I'm going, well, I goes, "I see what's going on." And I goes, "Who was that?" Well, they wouldn't say. They just wouldn't.
Right.
And I'm going, "Do you want the Wi-Fi to be shut off?" And they go, "Well, no, we don't want that." And I'm going, if this continues, it's gonna get shut off.
I know everybody wants to advocate for it, which I don't have a position either way, whether the township wants to leave it on, leave it off, time it doesn't bother me anyway. But I haven't run across the kid actually doing homework yet. They're on iPhones,
Mainly games.
iPads, they're playing games. I haven't seen a kid sitting with a computer typing a report
Right.
up here yet. Which is nothing wrong with them playing games, but this idea that we're allowing these children to do their homework, and they're playing games and they're chatting with each other on the phones, and even if a phone doesn't have like telephone service itself, you can still use the Wi-Fi and use all the texting apps and everything, and I know several that come up here and that's what they do. So it's the idea that the kids are here to do their homework is I think a little less than accurate.
On Facebook, on the Lake George page, on one post, in a matter of 10 days, there was 179 comments that people were coming to the township meeting and they were gonna get that place open.
Yeah, I know
for
what
their
when you're
kids to
talking
do-
about.
Gonna get their kids to do homework in here, and they were gonna have all these parents and all these kids, and I don't see one person here. So that's how much they care.
And I hope he's watching.
Oh, and besides you, they talk
Yeah,
about
I'm the
you
face of
too.
evil because I usher them out of the parking
But
lot.
I don't
and-
see anybody here to say, can I volunteer a couple hours in the afternoon after school to help these kids do their homework? I don't see anybody, so, you
Right.
know, honestly, I don't even have a teenage kid, I would have volunteered to do some time. But I don't see anybody here that is complaining about it or that
People-
is concerned.
And they don't have a right.
Well,
It's a privilege.
exactly,
It's earned.
exactly, and you cannot leave, I don't care how well-behaved teenage kids are, they're teenage kids, or
Right.
they're preteens. And you mentioned the curfew, and they have to have supervision, I don't care how good kids
I
they
have
are.
photographs of the damages that they've done.
Yeah, I mean, I
Who
got
wants to come
21-year-olds
in here at
still being
8 o'clock
supervised.
every day and look around at the destruction? It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Well, I'm just saying, I
When
don't
the
see any
taxpayers
parents.
have paid money to paint this building,
Absolutely.
keep this building up, pay to have the garbage cleaned up. All of you are paying.
But I don't see where it's, if they
Right.
can't come here and say, my made was, you guys need to get on the agenda and get some parents that can volunteer, get a plan, bring it to the board, and I'm sure they will try to work with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Not, there's nobody here.
Well, there's a certain somebody that kept saying they were gonna come to the meeting for the last, I don't know, 3-4 months, and I haven't
As
seen
of
it.
today, it
I
was
haven't seen
posted on
'em yet.
there. The meeting is at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Everybody be there, everybody bring your kids.
This wasn't the same guy, by the way, that he and his wife sent
Yes.
a bunch of marijuana-laden cookies to the
Yeah,
beneficiaries.
yeah.
Same guy? Yeah.
I think he's the one that
I hope you're
chased my
watching.
patrol car down the road screaming.
Well, she used.
I wanna know where the leftovers are. Okay, is there any other public comment?
That's what I said.
Nope.
I said, I'm sorry,
Okay.
but.
It's an election commission meeting, if anybody's got a stopwatch, that's how fast it goes. But in the meantime, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Election commission.
I'll second that motion.
We have a list of people, Briggs, Carey, House, Lambert, Judge, Domkowski, Sheriff, Van Dyke, tentatively appointed as election inspectors, is that motion? I'll second it, all in favor? Aye. Is there any public comments? I will.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.